I am truly touched and moved about all the people that reached out to me through my last video and all the encouraging comments, and the thought that people would take time out from their day and sometimes their own suffering to offer words of encouragement is something that I greatly appreciate, and I won't soon forget it. My friend T-Bone actually did a nice response, and actually we've been in touch, and he deserves a little bigger audience, a much bigger audience. So do me a favor and head over to the T-Bone Side of Life. Kind of a philosopher, but a hip philosopher, you know what I mean? Anybody that suffered from depression knows how debilitating it really is, and will not make light of it or say, oh well, everybody gets depressed. Because I think those people, had they ever experienced a true clinical depression, might begin to understand the devastation that it creates in your life. So to all those people, I mean, so many, and I need to list all their names of all these really fine people that lifted my spirits. Now, of course, along with that, you're going to get some guy. It's I don't know. He somehow thinks it's funny to mock me and mock my channel or whatever. I've never done anything to him. I told him to take the videos that he made down, but he didn't. And I'm thinking, well, I'm not really a vindictive human being, so I'm not going to report him for copyright violations, simply because it's not worth it. And so what? So I finally decided, and I saw he put up another one today, and I just ignore it. I'm not going to bother with that anymore. I've subscribed to this guy for years and years, and I don't understand what he has against me, quite frankly. Let's see. Oh my God, I turn 66 the end of next month. 66. I never thought I would make it past 35. You're going to get there, whether you like it or not, and most of us won't like it. So I see that Texas Governor, Mr. Greg Abbott, decided to really get in the Christmas spirit by sending refugees into a freezing cold Washington, D.C. night. These are folks that have lived in tropical climes their whole life, mind you. Ah, the political stunts you can do when you abuse poor people. People that have nothing, or that have no resources to fight back. Yeah, the vulnerable, the weakest of society, they're always the ones that pay for the narcissists and the totally evil people that run things. I'd like to talk about the death penalty. Recently, the United Nations held a vote to condemn capital punishment. And of course, along with such notables as North Korea and Iran, the American government decided to vote no. They're not really against killing people. In fact, they rather enjoy it, I would imagine. Because it must seem that way, that at this point in the 21st century, most countries don't participate. Aside from the botched executions that condemn people to hours of needless suffering, there is no justice in that. Is revenge. Revenge is never justice. And do we ever think about the billions of animals that are born with a death sentence to be consumed by us humans? I recently was on Twitter, and I've got this image just burned into my head. And it was of a pig being electrocuted in a slaughterhouse, and the agony on that animal's face. And they do have faces, and you really shouldn't eat anything that has a face. And I thought, how unnecessary. How have we not evolved past the caveman stage in our human development? We can do all these marvelous technological things that are at the same time destroying. Everything humans create destroys something else. And we just like killing things, I guess. And like most North Americans, I was brought up not thinking about all these things. Not thinking about what our lifestyle was doing to the planet. Nobody really paid much attention to that stuff back then. Except for the hippies, who wanted more out of life than the middle-class American dream, which has become more of a dream as the impoverishment continues generation after generation. And the excess people, just put them in jail. Just keep them out of sight. I don't know. I don't understand a society whose idea of justice is retribution. Retribution is never justice. It just escalates violence. I think it's just too late for humans to get together. Come on, everybody, smile on your brother. Everybody get together. Learn to love one another right now. Well, that sounds pretty damn corny these days, because it is, and it was. It's idealistic. And living in this world, the more idealistic that you are, the more pain you're going to experience in your life. The harder it is going to be on you. If you have a soft heart, it's worse. If you feel others' pain, it's worse. I cannot see going forward as a species. It's just impossible. It's like Sam says, sorry, we're fucked. And we are. Completely. Every opportunity we've had in the last 50 years to change things, we haven't done. So, are we supposed to give up? Stop fighting? It's a temptation, but I think politics are never going to solve anything, because politics are what created the problems in the first place. And no political party is going to save us. They're just playing games. It's like Frank Zappa said, it's just the show business division of the military-industrial complex. You know, a couple of weeks ago I did a video and encouraged readers to go over to one of my favorite blogs in the world, which is The Revolution Continues, but unfortunately I gave you an outdated link. And Cindy tried to, of course, correct this in the comments, and she tried it a couple of times, and YouTube immediately removed it for reasons unknown. That's just like so many comments that I don't get anymore in the, you know, if I comment on a video and somebody answers it, I don't hear that. They used to show you in a little thing in the corner and you click on it, you know, so-and-so has made a reply to your comment. So notice it's getting harder to actually communicate using the tubular network, because the tubular people don't like people actually, you know, getting together. So in case, I'm going to put the address of Cindy's blog spot, and I'm really sorry, Cindy, that I gave out the wrong thing, but I'm going to embed it here in the video. See down here, somewhere around here, you'll find the actual thing. So if the tubular gods decide to take it down from my description, where hopefully you will find it and just click on it, you can pause your video and write it down. While I don't agree 100% with Cindy all the time, she makes some very good points, and she's written an article for New Year's called 2022, the year where nothing fundamentally changed. And sadly, she's right in a lot of ways. Now, I think I have a hard time with the Ukraine thing because I don't believe that Ukrainians are Nazis. And I do believe that a nation has a right to defend itself if it's invaded. Now, and I'm anti-war to my core and wish that this would end. I wish they would sit down and stop flinging missiles and killing. Just stop the killing and figure it out. It's always these leaders, these so-called leaders. And of course, it's terrible how things are getting, and it's terrible everywhere in the world. And I cannot see going forward as a species. It's just impossible. It's like Sam says, sorry, we're fucked. And we are. Completely. Every opportunity we've had in the last 50 years to change things, we haven't done. So, are we supposed to give up? Stop fighting? It's a temptation, but I think politics are never going to solve anything, because politics are what created the problems in the first place. And no political party is going to save us. They're just playing games. It's like Frank Zappa said, it's just the show business division of the military-industrial complex. And here in Canada, we're having a housing crisis. There are a lot of homeless people in the city that I live in, the armpit of Canada, London, Ontario. And there's sort of this inadequate, anemic response when what we need is a government that's going to build social housing, just like they used to have in Britain with the council houses, where my grandmother lived. Affordable. And when they say affordable, they're talking about amounts that a person earning minimum wage could never afford. Rents have spiraled completely out of control. Real estate has reached this enormous bubble here in Canada, and it's starting to deflate a little, but man, it's crazy. I live in a working class neighborhood, a very modest little place that I live in, and we bought it 20 years ago. It was kind of a rough neighborhood at first, and it gradually got a little better and got to know my neighbors. People fixed up their houses. People took some pride in their houses. They're modest little places. And then the values just started to skyrocket. There was a place just down the street from me, just a few houses down, that was abandoned for several years. It was a wreck. There was an old lady that lived there, and she passed away, and I don't know if they had some kind of tie-up in court or whatever. So it sat that way for a couple of years, and then they came in and fixed it all up. And now it's for sale for a mere $580,000 it's listed for. Now when we bought this place in 2000, 22 years ago, we paid $75,000 for it. And it was a struggle for us to manage it, because we've always been poor. So, can you imagine what young people are facing with this insane, and wages have never gone anywhere near this, and it's being bought up by huge companies, by greedy landlords that want to turn it into rental properties so they can squeeze every last dime out of people. This is not sustainable. Of course, nothing we do is sustainable. Driving cars isn't sustainable. And we knew about some of this shit back in the 60s. Nah, just ignore it. Care about the economy, yeah. Well, I got a bunch of new subscribers. I'd like to thank you for subscribing, and welcome to my world, whatever that is. But the tubular gods no longer send me messages that say somebody has subscribed. Or they do, like for every, 10 subscribers, I get one that shows up in the messages. That the tubular messages, and if your stuff gets deleted, I can't answer it. And I always go into my, held for review, but I don't get to review anything because the tubular gods have already reviewed it, I guess, algorithmically, and decided that it's not something I want. So many people that I do want to hear from just get disappeared. I guess that's what the big corporate giants are expecting us to all do. Just disappear. Thank you for listening. Thank you if you've made it this far. You're a more patient person than I am. And have a great new year, everybody. It's going to be maybe marginally better than the last. Dare we hope? Nah. Next time.